Inside the world's most advanced winemaking facilities, the journey begins long before the bottle is corked.
Harvesting machines work with surgical precision, collecting tons of fruit while the acidity and sugar levels are perfect. Logistics are critical. The grapes must move from the field to the crusher in less than 2 hours to prevent oxidation.
Upon arrival, the raw material enters a stainless steel ecosystem designed to protect the delicate juice.
The destemmer removes the woody stalks, which contain bitter oils that would spoil the flavor profile.
Optical sorters use air jets to remove any grape that doesn't meet the strict color and size requirements.
Through miles of sterile piping, the fresh juice is pumped into refrigerated settling tanks to clarify. Inside, the scale shifts from agricultural to monumental. This is the cathedral of fermentation. Before the first drop of juice can be extracted, a logistical ballad of heavy transport brings the harvest home. First, the destemmer separates the fruit from the woody stalks, ensuring only the berries proceed to the press.
Human oversight remains critical, even amidst millions of dollars of automated infrastructure.
Every batch begins with data. Sugar, acid, and pH are measured with obsessive precision.
Mechanics ensure the steel arteries of the plant are ready to handle the crushing weight of the harvest.
With the paperwork cleared, the raw tonnage is authorized for intake.
One button press awakens the beast, bringing the entire processing line to life.
The flow rate on Unit 3 is steady at 500 liters per hour.
Acknowledged. Pressure looks good too.
Engineers route the fresh juice to chilled settling tanks, carefully monitoring pressure and flow.
Technicians analyze samples for clarity and sugar content before the next critical phase begins.
A complex arterial network of stainless steel transports the juice to the fermentation cellar, keeping it sealed from the air.
Before fermentation, the juice must rest. Cold settling allows solid particles to fall out of suspension, clarifying the liquid.
Every tank is analyzed. Technicians measure sugar levels, known as bricks, to predict the final alcohol content. Cultured yeast is introduced to the tank. This microscopic workforce will consume the sugar and convert it into alcohol. To preserve the Chardonnay's crisp fruit notes, cooling jackets keep the fermentation temperature strictly controlled. Through thousands of microperforations, the premium juice is separated, carrying the sugar and acid balance that defines the vintage. Powerful pumps transfer the fresh must through a labyrinth of sterile piping, moving it rapidly to the cooling tanks to prevent premature oxidation. Every batch is analyzed in the lab. Technicians measure sugar levels and acidity with extreme precision to determine the perfect fermentation strategy. Specialized wine yeast is rehydrated in warm water. These microscopic organisms are the workforce that will convert the grape sugars into alcohol. The resulting liquid, known as must, is a concentrated solution of sugars, acids, and minerals. Before fermentation can begin, the turbid juice is pumped into chilled tanks for a process called settling. Chilling the must inhibits wild yeast activity and allows gravity to pull heavy solids to the tank floor.
Cluvutes. Large buckets of warm water are swirled with active dry yeast, specifically Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
The yeast is introduced to the clarified must, beginning the weeks-long process of primary fermentation.
To preserve the delicate fruit profile of the Chardonnay, we use pneumatic membrane presses that gently squeeze the grapes rather than crushing them.
The juice is immediately chilled and pumped to the cellar, racing against time to prevent oxidation and wild yeast activity.
A specific strain of cultured yeast is introduced to the tank, kickstarting the conversion of natural grape sugars into alcohol. while some wine stays in steel, a portion. To enhance the wine's body, we perform batonnage, stirring the lees sediment to release proteins that give Chardonnay its signature weight.
Temperature control is paramount. Glycol jackets chill the tanks to 16 degrees, preventing the volatile aroma.
To achieve the signature buttery mouthfeel, technicians introduce specific bacteria that convert sharp malic acid into softer, milk-like lactic acid.
For the reserve lines, the wine rests in oak for up to 10 months, absorbing tannins and vanillin compounds from the toasted staves.
Regular stirring of the lees, or spent yeast, builds body and protects the wine from oxidation without the need for excessive preservatives.
By chilling the wine to near freezing, we force unstable tartrate crystals to solidify and drop out now, rather than in your glass later.
Before bottling, distinct lots are pumped into the blending vat. Oak-aged reserves meet fresh, steel-fermented batches.
Wine lees, spent yeast cells, are kept in suspension, slowly releasing manoproteins that give the Chardonnay its signature creamy mouthfeel.
A pneumatic press gently squeezes the fruit, extracting the juice without crushing the bitter seeds.
Gravity does the initial work, sending tons of fruit into the crushing maw of the receiving hopper.
Rotating beaters gently knock the grapes loose, passing them through perforations while the stems are ejected.
The gauge is almost at the optimal setting. Good, the flow looks steady.
The golden juice flows freely, separated from the skins and seeds, before they can impart bitterness.
Here, the juice is chilled rapidly to prevent fermentation and allow sediment to settle to the bottom.
To extract the juice without crushing the seeds, pneumatic presses use gentle air pressure, mimicking the touch of a human hand on a massive scale.
Gravity guides the fresh must into the collection channels, where the journey from fruit to wine truly begins.
Inside the tank, a violent transformation occurs. The yeast generates heat and carbon dioxide as it works, churning the liquid naturally.
The crushed grapes enter the pneumatic press, where a gentle, calculated pressure is applied to.
Before fermentation can begin, the heavy solids are drained away. Removing this sediment ensures the final Chardonnay will be crisp and brilliant. The activated yeast is introduced to the massive fermentation tanks. Over the next few weeks,
To avoid extracting bitter tannins from the seeds and skins, the grapes undergo a gentle pneumatic pressing cycle.
Once clarified, the juice is racked off the sediment, leaving behind the gross lees.
Before fermentation can begin, the juice must be clarified in a process called debourbage, where heavy solids settle to the bottom of the tank.
Inside the tank, a violent chemical reaction takes place as the yeast consumes sugar, releasing heat and carbon dioxide as byproducts. Cross-flow filtration polishes the wine to a brilliant shine, removing particles down to the micron level without stripping away the flavor profile.
To ensure clarity and stability, the wine enters a critical phase known as cold stabilization.
Chilled to nearly freezing temperatures, the tanks force natural tartaric acids to crystallize and separate.
Sensors maintain this environment with absolute precision, preventing even a degree of fluctuation. Inside the tank, wine diamonds or tartrates fall out of suspension, leaving the liquid perfectly clear.
Once stabilized, the wine is pumped through cross-flow filters to remove any remaining haze.
Ceramic membranes trap microscopic particles, ensuring the Chardonnay is visually flawless.
Technicians verify the turbidity levels, confirming the wine is ready for its final journey. The finished Chardonnay is moved to bright tanks, where it rests under inert gas, awaiting the bottling line. To ensure stability and texture, the wine enters a prolonged period of maturation within temperature-controlled stainless steel environments. Automated agitators perform regular batonnage, stirring the lees to enhance flavor integration without exposing the wine to oxygen.
Lab technicians constantly monitor the chemical evolution, checking specifically for the completion of malolactic fermentation.
By chilling the wine to near-freezing temperatures, unstable tartrate crystals precipitate out now, rather than in the bottle later. Cross-flow filtration passes the wine through microscopic ceramic membranes, achieving brilliant clarity without stripping the wine's character. A final visual inspection confirms the wine has achieved star-bright clarity, signaling it is ready for the blending phase. Cleared and stabilized, the Chardonnay is pumped through the facility's arteries to the massive blending vats for final assembly. Cross-flow filtration pushes the wine through microscopic membranes, scrubbing every last impurity while preserving the Chardonnay's delicate character. In the blending tanks, distinct lots are married together, creating a consistent flavor profile that defines the brand's signature year after year. Nitrogen sparging strips away dissolved oxygen, a crucial step to prevent oxidation and keep the white wine fresh and vibrant. A final pass through sterile membrane cartridges removes any remaining yeast or bacteria, guaranteeing the wine remains stable on the shelf. Automated manifolds route the finished wine through a complex highway of pipes, directing it toward the bottling hall with computer-controlled precision.
Resting in the pressurized bright tank, the wine is now fully processed, clarified, and ready for the final stage, the bottling line.
Before bottling, the wine must be stabilized to withstand temperature changes during shipping. Chilling the Chardonnay forces tartrate crystals to form and drop out of suspension, ensuring clarity in the glass. These harmless crystals are removed now so they don't surprise the consumer later. Cross-flow filtration polishes the wine to a brilliant shine without stripping its character.
Lab technicians verify the clarity using lasers, measuring turbidity to the decimal point.
Held in the bright tank, the wine is homogenized one last time before the bottling run begins.
With the pull of a lever, the wine begins its final journey to the bottle.
To prevent cloudiness in the glass, the wine undergoes cold stabilization, mimicking the chill of a harsh winter to force out tartrate crystals. Cross-flow filtration polishes the liquid to a brilliant shine, removing microscopic particles down to 0.2 microns without sacrificing flavor.
Before packaging begins, the laboratory confirms the wine's stability, ensuring it meets strict parameters for clarity and preservation.
Every bottle is inverted, rinsed, and sparged with sterile air, guaranteeing a pristine environment for the vintage.
To protect the Chardonnay from oxidation, a shot of nitrogen gas purges oxygen from the bottle moments before filling. The rotary filler operates at breakneck speed, using vacuum pressure to fill each bottle to the exact level without spilling a drop.
Precision capping heads apply the screw tops with exact torque, creating a hermetic seal that will last for years.
High-speed labelers apply the final branding, using laser alignment to ensure perfect placement on every single bottle.
Once cased, the wine enters the palletizing zone, where robotic systems take over the heavy lifting. These automated...
To secure the load, pallets are wrapped in high-tensile polymer film. This layer...
The finished pallets are moved to the temperature-controlled warehouse. This massive storage facility holds...
Skilled operators navigate the narrow aisles, retrieving specific batches for distribution. It is a high-speed balance.
At the loading docks, the facility connects with the outside world. Dozens of trucks arrive daily, linking the factories out.
Trailers are loaded to capacity, with weight distribution carefully calculated. Each truck carries thousands of bottles.
As evening falls, the fleet prepares to roll out. This complex industrial dance transforms...
The manifest confirms the Chardonnay shipment. Everything looks intact. Verified I'm on my end.
Stored in a climate-controlled cathedral of steel, the finished wine awaits distribution, maintained at exact temperatures to prevent premature aging in the bottle.
At the loading docks, the pace is relentless as logistics teams coordinate the final handoff from the factory floor to the global supply chain.
Once the doors are sealed and the security tags applied, the cold chain remains unbroken until the wine reaches the retailer.
As dusk falls, the fleet departs, carrying thousands of gallons of Chardonnay from the valley to destinations around the globe. Whether by tanker or refrigerated truck, the wine travels hundreds of miles, a liquid cargo that demands stability and speed. Back at the facility, the cycle continues, with the next vintage already fermenting quietly in the dark, preparing for its future release.
And that's how Chardonnay wine is made. Beam, from raw materials to the final product.